Welcome to the world of science fiction stories, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe my channel. Enjoy the listening. Aliens trash, humanity's triumph, the warship that rewrote destiny. It happened every colony, every station, every hidden outpost. They had watched Iron Requiem and its crew do the impossible. We hadn't just survived an alien assault, we had defeated them. But there was no time to celebrate, because now humanity had a choice. Sir, incoming message from the Unified Earth Council, the XIO's officer called. They want a full report and a strategy for what happens next. Grant's jaw tightened. He knew what the politicians would want. A defensive plan, a way to reinforce Earth's position and avoid total retaliation. But that wasn't enough. The aliens had never planned to share the stars with us. They had never seen us as equals. We had been nothing more than an inconvenience, a species to be kept contained, controlled, leeched, until now. He stood, looking around at his crew, men and women who had risked everything to prove humanity's worth. They were tired, bruised, but their eyes burned with something he hadn't seen in a long time. Determination. No more waiting, no more hiding. It was time to take the fight to them. Grant turned to the comms officer. Send this message to the council. He took a breath, then spoke the words that would change history. Earth stands victorious, but victory isn't enough. We have the means, we have the will. And now we have proof that they can bleed. We do not wait for their return. We strike first. Prepare the fleet. Humanity goes to war. The message sent shockwaves through the world. For centuries, humanity had looked to the stars with wonder. We had dreamed of joining some great galactic civilization, of proving ourselves worthy of the cosmos. But the truth was far uglier. The aliens had never seen us as equals. They had come not to uplift us, but to keep us weak, to trap us in the illusion of progress while ensuring we never became a threat. They had ruled us with condescending smiles, enforcing peace by keeping the leash tight around our throats. But now the leash had been broken, and the masters of the galaxy had no idea what they had unleashed. The Unified Earth Council was in chaos. The battle had been broadcast to every major city, every colony, every hidden outpost that had long suspected the truth. The warship Iron Requiem was no longer just a military asset. It had become a symbol. Half the council wanted to negotiate. They feared retaliation, feared that the full force of the alien empire would crush us before we could even build another warship. But the other half saw what Grant and his crew had proven. The aliens could be beaten, and if we waited for them to come back, it would be on their terms. We cannot afford to sit back. Grant's voice rang out in the war room where Earth's most powerful leaders had gathered. They'll return, and next time they won't play games. If we wait, we die. But if we strike first, if we take the fight to them, we have a chance. Against an interstellar empire. One of the diplomats scoffed. That's suicide. Grant didn't blink. No, it's war. And war is what humanity does best. The room fell silent because deep down, they all knew the truth. From the moment the aliens arrived, we had been living on borrowed time. The only reason they hadn't wiped us out was because they hadn't needed to. But they needed to now. How, someone finally asked. Even if we wanted to fight, how do we go on the offensive? We have one warship. Grant smiled. We had one warship before the battle. Now we have an entire planet ready to fight. And that was the difference. Humanity had always been at its best with its back against the wall. The moment we realized we had nothing left to lose, we became something the galaxy had never seen before, something terrifying. Survivors, warriors, predators. And now we had a target. Deep in the outer system, hidden away from prying eyes, a facility came to life. It had been built in secret, a place where human engineers had worked tirelessly to reverse engineer every scrap of alien tech they could get their hands on. Until now, their work had been slow, careful, limited by the fear of discovery. But now they had Iron Requiem. They had wreckage from the battle. They had proof that humanity could do the impossible. And within days, they were building something new, something bigger, something designed for war. 2 weeks after the battle, when the first alien reinforcements arrived expecting to find a crippled planet and a terrified species, they found something else instead. They found another warship, then another, and another. The first fleet had been built from scraps. The next would be built for vengeance. For the first time in history, Earth wasn't just defending itself. We were coming for them, and the galaxy would never be the same again. The first wave of alien reinforcements entered the system cautiously. Their battle records from the previous encounter told them what they should expect: A single rogue warship, a defiant but ultimately doomed species, a planet still licking its wounds. But what they found was something else entirely. Earth wasn't broken. It wasn't cowering. It was arming itself for war. From the bridge of Iron Requiem, Captain Grant watched as the alien fleet took position just beyond the asteroid belt. Their ships hovered in tight formation, their weapons primed, but their movements hesitant. They had learned their lesson. This wasn't going to be a simple suppression mission. A message came through, crisp and cold. Human forces, you have violated interstellar law. Cease all hostilities and submit. This is your final warning. Grant smirked. Final warning? They were still pretending they had control of the situation. He gestured to his comms officer. Broadcast on all channels. A second later, his voice carried through the void, reaching not only the alien fleet but every human listening from Earth, its colonies, and its secret bases across the system. This is Captain Grant of Iron Requiem. Earth does not recognize your authority. Your rule over us is over. If you want this system, come and take it. The challenge was set. A tense silence followed. Then the aliens fired. Missiles, plasma beams, and kinetic slugs shrieked toward Iron Requiem. But this time, she wasn't alone. From behind Earth's moon, 3 newly completed warships emerged, engines flaring. They were smaller than Iron Requiem, less advanced, but they were fast, armed to the teeth and human-built. They cut through the void like wolves descending upon prey. The battle erupted in an instant. The new warships flanked Iron Requiem, unleashing hell upon the alien forces. Their weapons weren't elegant like the enemy's. They were brutal, raw, designed with one purpose: to kill. Rail gun slugs smashed through shields, missile barrages scattered enemy formations, and experimental energy cannons, born from stolen alien tech, carved through the darkness. The aliens faltered. For centuries, they had controlled humanity with a single lie: that we could never reach their level, that they were beyond us. And now, for the second time, we had proven them wrong. One of their battleships detonated as a human warship drove straight through its weakened hull, guns firing at point-blank range. Another enemy cruiser, damaged and panicked, tried to retreat, only to be hunted down and ripped apart by our own forces. The tide of war had shifted, and this time it wasn't just one rogue warship standing against them. It was an entire species. Humanity wasn't fighting for survival anymore. We were fighting for dominion. In the alien high command, light years away, the news arrived. A war council convened. Their long, sleek forms gathered around a massive holographic display. They stared at the images coming in. Humans, once considered primitive, now standing victorious over 2 of their fleets. One of them finally spoke, their voice slow and filled with disbelief. They weren't supposed to be capable of this. Another, higher ranked, exhaled. We've made a mistake. A long silence followed. Then their supreme commander rose from his seat, his expression unreadable. No, his voice was steel. We made them a mistake, and now we will correct it. Across the stars, a full invasion fleet, one large enough to shatter entire civilizations, was mobilized. Humanity had won 2 battles, but now the real war was about to begin. The full invasion fleet arrived 3 weeks later. It did not come with threats. It did not come with warnings. It came with fire. Massive alien dreadnoughts, each the size of cities, emerged from hyperspace, blotting out the stars. Cruisers, battleships, and fighter swarms filled the void, moving with cold precision. The benefactors had finally abandoned their arrogance. This was no longer a punitive strike. This was extermination. On board Iron Requiem, Captain Grant stared at the incoming fleet. His crew had fought impossible battles before, but this was different. The aliens had brought everything this time. How many ships? Grant asked, his voice steady. Harris swallowed hard. Over 200, maybe more. The war room was silent. Earth's fleet had grown in the past weeks. They had built more warships, upgraded old defense platforms, and rallied every hidden outpost capable of fighting. But even with all that, they were still outnumbered 10-1. For a moment, the weight of it settled over them, the undeniable reality that humanity, despite its defiance, despite its victories, was still a young race standing against an empire that had ruled the stars for millennia. For the first time, someone whispered what they had all been thinking. We can't win this. A long silence followed. Then Grant spoke. Then we won't fight to win. Eyes turned toward him. We fight to change the game. The moment the alien fleet entered high orbit, Earth's defenses opened fire. From the ground, Hundreds of missile silos, railgun batteries, and energy cannons unleashed hell. From the void, human warships surged forward, moving in tight formations, targeting enemy weak points with brutal efficiency. The first wave was devastating. Alien ships exploded in fiery blooms, their shields overwhelmed by concentrated fire. Battleships collapsed under relentless missile barrages. Entire enemy squadrons were wiped out before they could even return fire. But then the main fleet retaliated, and the real slaughter began. The dreadnoughts tore through human lines with terrifying force, their weapons carving massive holes in Earth's defenses, shattering ships in single blasts. Entire battalions of fighters were erased in the blink of an eye. Earth's warships, for all their newfound strength, were still fragile compared to the might of an ancient empire. One by one, they fell. The Valkyrie went first, caught in the crossfire of 3 enemy cruisers. Its reactors detonated, taking an entire section of the battlefield with it. Then the Argos, overwhelmed by enemy fighters, its hull ripped apart before it could even send a distress call. Iron Requiem fought like a demon, weaving through the chaos, its guns firing nonstop. But even the legendary warship couldn't hold forever. Shields failing. Someone shouted, "Left thrusters down." Grant's hands tightened into fists. They were running out of time. Then an alert flashed across the holo display. A private signal, one word, "Ready." Grant inhaled. It was time. He opened the fleet-wide channel. All ships, disengage. Fall back to Phase 2 position. Some hesitated, others questioned, but they obeyed. And the aliens, believing humanity was finally breaking, pushed forward, eager to land the killing blow. Right into the trap. Deep in the asteroid belt, hidden among the debris, something stirred. For weeks, Earth's engineers had worked in secret, repurposing stolen alien technology. They had salvaged cores, rebuilt reactors, modified human weapons into something more. The project had one goal: to build a weapon not just for defense, but for eradication. And now it was ready. The moment the alien fleet moved into range, Earth's secret fleet, hidden warships equipped with experimental warp drives, activated their systems. In an instant, a dozen warships appeared behind enemy lines. Not human ships, doomsday ships. Each one carried a stolen alien singularity core, modified into a weapon of mass destruction. Each one was aimed directly at the dreadnoughts. And then, without hesitation, they detonated. The universe itself seemed to crack. 12 artificial black holes ripped through the alien fleet. Dreadnoughts, invincible and unstoppable, were crushed in an instant, their shields, their armor. None of it mattered against the force of a collapsing singularity. Entire enemy squadrons were sucked into oblivion. Battleships were twisted and shredded before they could even process what was happening. The invincible fleet, meant to end humanity, was gone in seconds. The battlefield turned from a massacre to something else entirely. A victory, not just for Earth, but for humanity's place in the stars. In the alien high commands, silence reigned. The Supreme Leader watched the disaster unfold, his long fingers clenched into fists. The mighty armada, his people's greatest force, was gone, destroyed by humans. We underestimated them. A pause. Then the Supreme Leader turned, his eyes cold. No, we miscalculated. And now the mistake will be corrected. Across the galaxy, new orders were sent. The war wasn't over, it was only just beginning. The victory was absolute. The alien fleet, once the galaxy's unchallenged enforcers, was shattered, its remains drifting lifelessly in the void. Earth stood, bloodied but unbroken, a defiant ember in the dark. But the war was far from over, because now the galaxy was watching. In the days following the battle, Earth's sensors picked up a surge of interstellar activity. Dozens of alien species, once silent under the rule of the so-called benefactors, were now stirring. Some sent encrypted transmissions, their messages wary but intrigued. Others mobilized fleets of their own, either to observe or prepare for what they feared would come next. Because for the first time in history, a species had not only defied the Empire, it had defeated them. On the bridge of Iron Requiem, Captain Grant stared at the holodisplays, watching as intelligence reports flooded in. The Council had gathered in a secure war room back on Earth, and every surviving fleet commander was present. The discussion was heated. "We've won 2 battles, but we can't win a war against an entire empire," one of the senior diplomats argued. "They'll come back in numbers we can't even comprehend." "We don't have a choice," Harris shot back. If we sit and wait, they'll wipe us out the moment they rebuild. Grant remained silent, listening. The truth was, both sides were right. Earth had just pulled off the impossible, but they were still one planet against a vast empire. They couldn't just defend. They had to change the rules of the war. Finally, Grant spoke, his voice calm, steady. We don't need to fight them alone. Eyes turned toward him. We're not the only ones under their thumb. Every species they've conquered, every world they've strangled under their so-called guidance, they're all watching us right now. And for the first time, they're seeing something new. A pause. Hope. A heavy silence followed. Grant leaned forward. We don't just fight for Earth anymore. We fight to break their empire entirely. A new war, not just for survival, for revolution, for dominion. Across the galaxy, whispers turned into action. Hidden resistance movements, once too afraid to rise, sent messages to Earth. Rebellions that had been crushed generations ago stirred once more. Some still hesitated, fearful, uncertain if humanity could truly lead the charge. So Earth sent them a message, a single video broadcast across every secret channel, showing the remains of the alien fleet, the once invincible warships reduced to scrap, their mighty dreadnoughts torn apart by human hands, and with it a simple declaration. We are no longer the hunted. We are no longer beneath them. Humanity stands. Join us. On the alien homeworld, the supreme leader stood before his war council, his gaze sweeping over his commanders. Their faces were grave. Even the most arrogant among them could no longer deny the truth. The humans weren't an anomaly. They were a problem, a contagion, a spark that threatened to set the entire empire ablaze. The supreme leader exhaled slowly, then spoke with finality. Then we burned them first. Orders were given. Across the empire, fleets mobilized. Factories roared to life, producing warships faster than ever before. New weapons, ones never before seen, were being developed with a singular purpose, the eradication of humanity. Because if they let Earth stand, if they let humans continue to rise, then it wasn't just the empire that would fall. It was their entire rule over the galaxy. And that was something they could never allow. Back on Earth, as the first fleets of allied species arrived, hesitant, wary, but willing, Grant stood on the bridge of Iron Requiem, staring into the void. The real war was coming, and humanity was ready. The war came faster than anyone expected. Within weeks, the alien empire unleashed its full might, sending arms,